My name is Swen Vinke. I'm the creative director and founder at Larian Studios, giving us a unique exclusive presentation for Eurogamer on Divinity Original Sin, the Enhanced Edition, the game that is the successor to Original Sin, and which is coming to Xbox One, PS4, PC, Mac, and Steam OS and Linux. So if you bought the original game, Original Sin, then you're going to, at one day, you're going to see a new entry in your Steam library, and you're going to get it for free. And for console players, this is going to be an RPG, which is unlike anything that you've played on your console before, and that's my point with this presentation, is proving that to you. So for people who are not familiar with Original Sin, I'll start by showing off a little bit of elemental interactions. So this is Scarlet, my battle mage. She just threw some fire at a poison surface. She's now going to cast an oil spell, which is going to connect the fire with the other poison surface and causing a little bit of a chain reaction. She's now going to make it rain, which is a battle mage skill, and that rain is going to douse the fire. And then as the water appears from the rain and the fire is doused, I can electrify it. So I'm going to cast some electricity on the water, and you shouldn't walk in that because you will be stunned. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast a ice spell at the water, and that's going to create a frost surface. And then if I walk over that, there's chances that I'm going to trip myself over. Okay, so just showing this so that you'll understand the combat actions that I'm going to do later on. My party, consisting of 4 characters, is spread over the world for presentation purposes. This is Wolgraf. He is my scoundrel, or my rogue if you want. People who are familiar with the original game will immediately notice that he is wearing 2 daggers. So dual wielding is something that has been added to the Enhanced Edition, wasn't present in the original game. As a matter of fact, if we go back to Scarlet here, we'll notice that she's also dual wielding. Scarlet is wearing 2 wands, and dual wielding wands is something that is very powerful, because not only do the wands do elemental damage at a distance, they can also allow you to do fire skills. For instance, in this particular case, they have a spell which is charged on top of them, so they allow somebody who's dominantly an water and air mage to do fire damage to him. That can be very handy in this particular game. Right, back to Wolgraf, who is dealing with a problem. He found a chest that is on fire, and as he's trying to open it up, we see that it is too hot to touch. So what Wolgraf is going to do, he's going to take a water balloon, which he made himself using the new crafting system, and he is going to throw the water balloon at the chest, reasoning that water douses fire. So that was a particularly bad throw, but it did work. However, the chest runs away. So Wolgraf, who is a legendary hero of many campaigns, runs after the chest feeling rather ridiculous, and so he figures that he is going to hasten himself so that he can run faster. Unfortunately, the chest also jumps faster, so Wolgraf, feeling very silly, is not managing to catch up with the chest until the chest says, you know what, I'll stop running away, and we'll see what happens when we open it up. So Wolgraf is going to open it up. As he opens it up, a wind-up toy jumps out of it. Now Wolgraf knows about wind-up toys because he has a master skill himself that allows him to summon wind-up toys, and he knows that when a wind-up toy explodes, everything around it is dead. So what Wolgraf is going to do now, this is combat by the way, so at the top of the screen we see my turn order. At the bottom of the screen we see the actions that I can do. Each action costs me action points. They all have different values. And so, for instance, if I want to do this cloak and dagger skill, I'm going to have to spend 6 action points. If I want to move over here, that's going to cost me 2 action points, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cloak and dagger myself, which is a teleport skill, which can be used for both offensive and defensive purposes. And I'm going to jump all the way over here. And why over here? Because it's raining over there. And so we learned just before from Scarlet that if it's raining, then fire goes away. And look at what this guy has on his back, a fuse that is burning. So if I'm going to skip my turn now and he comes towards us, we assume that his fuse will go out, and indeed it goes out. So it's important to stress that this is not something that's pre-scripted for demo purposes, but that it is something that has been done for that's systemic in the game. So people who played Original Sin know that there's lots of environmental interactions to be had, and it's indeed how you actually win combat, by managing the environment to your advantage. Alright, so since he's not that dangerous anymore, we're going to throw a grenade, because grenades are new. There's also an addition for the Enhanced Edition, so I'm going to throw a firestorm grenade at him, and then hopefully that's going to deal lots of damage, and that'll be the end of it for him. Okay, now Wolgraf is a man of a relatively high perception, well above average at least, And so he can discover secrets. Like for instance, there's a secret here, there's a grassy pile, and if he digs something up from there, probably he's going to find something. Unfortunately for Wargraf, he does not have a shovel. Without a shovel, he cannot dig, or he can dig with his hands, but it's going to take a very long time indeed. So he's going to ask if he can use the shovel of Scarlet. Now Scarlet has 2 shovels, so she can... Alright, never mind. I never realized that. So she has 2 shovels, which she could send to Wargraf. But we added something which will make players of the original game very happy, and that is automatic use of magic pockets. So the way that works is that if I go to Wargraf and he now clicks on it, magic pockets automatically transfer the shovel to Wargraf's hands, and you don't have to physically or manually do it anymore. And here you found a secret, and I find a chest with some nice loot in it. Alright, so we're going to bring our party together and we're going to go on a grand adventure. I'm going to use my teleporter pyramids, which is a teleportation device that my party has discovered in the world. And these teleporter pyramids allow me, on usage, to teleport my character to the other teleporter pyramid. So I'm now joined up with these guys over here, and they were just in battle. They killed some undead boars, I guess. And there's still some loot on the floor, so you see me using my active search here, which allows me to quickly figure out which items are of interest in my environment. And I could, for instance, pick up this cursing arrow, although Wargraf doesn't really use arrows. That's something for my other characters that are over here, which is Bear Daughter, she's my ranger. And then I have Roderick, who is my warrior. Right. At this particular point in time, I'm going to ask one of my colleagues, Thomas, to join in the game, and we're going to start demonstrating something else that is unique to the Enhanced Edition, that is local cooperative play. So Thomas is currently controlling Roderick, and I'm in control of the other 3 characters in my party. So you can see if I move slightly to the left that the camera zooms out, and if we move really far away from each other, then we jump into split screen, and so that means that we can basically go and explore the rest of the world on our own. So if Thomas goes, for instance, into the cave over there, what's going to happen is he can just go into dungeon and he can just dash off wherever he wants. And what's more, especially for people who played, like for instance Diablo 3 in cooperative mode, when I go to my inventory, I'm not going to block Thomas, so I can basically do all the actions that I want to do while Thomas is playing in the game, and indeed he can do it himself. So all of the UI has been made taking into account the cooperative play, so that you can play together essentially. The other thing to be said about that is if you play it on PC with controllers, you're going to have the console interface. If you play with a mouse, then you'll have a separate mouse interface. But I'm currently demonstrating on a PlayStation 4, so I can't access the PC interface. Alright, there's another thing that I can do. I'm this type of friend that says that I'm going to give all the bad things to the people he plays with, so I'm going to give him Wargraf, and I'm going to take their warrior for myself. And I'm going to jump quickly back to Roderick. No, actually I want to jump back to Bear Daughter, and I'm going to join up in that cavern where we're all headed. Alright, so let me just do that. And then I'm going to regroup my party, and we're going to start an adventure which is going to involve a big robot, lots of skeletons, and a very clever girl. Okay, so I'm going to regroup Roderick to Bear Daughter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select him here and then just say group, and so now they're going to follow each other. That's how I can manage my party over large distances. Okay, and I'm going to make Roderick the lead since he is my warrior. Also new in the Enhanced Edition is the ability to rotate your camera 360 degrees. So there's we had to redo quite a lot of the levels for that, but that's been done also. Okay, so here we have Visco, and Visco is a man who is on a mission. His mission is to take out the monstrosity which is down in this particular dungeon, or in this cavern. And well, you see Thomas just talks to a rat, but he doesn't stalk rats, so he has a squeak in his return. We'll see another character a little bit later on who has Pet Pal, which allows you to talk to animals. And you also saw that Thomas was in dialogue as I was still continuing my own gameplay session. So whenever you do an action that requires your user interface, for instance, if I do this, it automatically jumps back to split screen, which makes it quite handy to do. So Thomas is going to scout around, and he's going to go have a look at, as my rogue, at what this monstrosity is. He just entered sneak mode, and he has become the bush. And so he sees there in the distance, in the area, don't go too close, Thomas. If he goes too close, then they will see him because he'll enter their cone of vision. But like this, he can be inconspicuous. And so we have a little bit of a plan. So Thomas is first going to make himself invisible, and he's now going to go and get himself really up close and personal to those guys. And I'm going to go with Roderick. So yeah, he's examining what their weaknesses are. So he sees that fire is a problem for them, and our plan involves using something fiery. So he's going to put him over there, and now he became the bush again, so these guys don't see that the bush popped up. And my warrior here is going to go down, and he's going to put him next to this particular oil barrel. Now, in Original Sin, you can basically interact with every single object that you see. You can move it around, do lots of things with them. With an oil barrel, well, you can break it, and then you'll get oil just like so over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick with Roderick here. I'm going to pick up the oil barrel. I'm going to go to my inventory, and I will send it to Wolgraf. So Wolgraf is now encumbered, can't walk anymore. That's why you see the little icon. However, he can drop the barrel on the spot. What we've done now is we've created a trap essentially, so if we're going to shoot something at it, then the oil is going to leak out, and if then we're going to shoot some fire at it, it's all going to explode. What Wolgraf does here is he uses his teleporter pyramid to come back to me, and so now we're going to enter combat, and hopefully the battle will go well for us. Alright, now it's in Original Sin nothing is predictable, so we don't know if it's going to go really well for us, but we hope it will be. So the problem with these guys is that they're going to cast electricity on their robot. That's going to charge it up, and that's going to be very painful if we get caught by it. The burst of electricity that comes out of the robot is a painful thing. It's also worthwhile pointing out that in the Enhanced Edition we changed pretty much every single encounter in the game, and that's not the only thing we've done. We've also added a tactician mode, which when you are playing it basically is an entire different encounter scape, if you want, with all kinds of different tactics based on studying hours and hours of YouTube players, Twitch players, and it basically has a very clever AI. It's definitely worthwhile. You also encounter new monsters, you also encounter new skills which they don't have in the other modes, and all puzzles are also much more difficult. So it's definitely worth it for the hardcore player. On the other hand, we also added Explorer mode. Explorer mode is a very accessible mode where the enemies are not allowed to use any control skills, and it makes it a lot easier, and that's why we call it Explorer mode, because you can then explore the environment. But there's not a lot of nerfing done on the level of stats, so it does remain challenging. Okay, so what I'm going to do with my ranger here is I'm going to try charming this particular undead mage. I don't know if it's going to work, but sometimes it fails, and of course today it will fail. So I'm going to have to do a different tactic. Well, at the very least, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast fire at the oil barrel. So what's going to happen is the strength of the arrow is going to destroy the barrel. The oil is going to leak out, but because it's a fire arrow, the oil is going to catch fire, and those guys should be burned. At least that's the plan. So we're pretty close. So probably on next turn they're going to be dead. So Thomas, who is controlling still Wolgraf, he's going to try to go in the backstab cone area behind the robots. That's also an addition in the Enhanced Edition, so you can now predict much more where you have to be able to backstab somebody. Unfortunately, he doesn't have enough action points for it, so he's going to try to be clever. And what he's going to do now, he's going to use the Adrenaline skill, which borrows action points from his next turn. So that's going to give him more action points, and then to be sure that he gets there, he's going to give himself Fast Track. That's the same skill I used before, which is going to allow him to go move more meters per action point. And so that's going to put him completely into backstab mode. And then he hopes that he's going to be able to not draw the attention of the robot. And I'm going to do that because I'm going to draw the attention with my warrior. Now I have a new master skill, which is Shackles of Pain. And I hope that I'm in range. I'm not in range, so I need to move a little bit. Let's do. Master skills are a new addition to the game, and they basically make sure that the character progression of all the characters is better from the middle to the end game. There were a few problems with that in Original Sin, and by introducing master skills we made it much more cooler to progress, but we also gave the master skills to the enemies, and we changed the encounters to take that into account. So you get quite hefty encounters near the middle to end of the game. Alright, so what does Shackles of Pain do? Well, it shares whatever damage is done to me, it will be done to the robot. So I hope it's going to work, and it does work, so because there is a chance with willpower to resist it. So from now on, whenever my warrior is going to be damaged, the robot will be damaged also. So that's the other guys. I don't think it's a clever idea of them to move to the front, but we'll see. So one of those guys there, there you go. See, it was definitely not a good idea. Okay, so it's not necessarily going very well because he didn't hit my warrior, and so at times like these it's often good to think what else can I do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump to Scarlet, and then we'll see if there's not a quest solution. And at this point it's pretty interesting to see exactly what's going on screen. So I'm going to assign control of these characters to Thomas, who can now continue doing his combat actually in split screen, while I'm going to town to go and shop and try to find out another solution to this. And so it's really worthwhile standing still and remembering that I'm playing this on the PlayStation 4 and I'm doing this in split screen. This is a very deep RPG, and to the best of our knowledge, you've never played an RPG like this on a console. At least we haven't found one. So maybe the nice people in the comments section will know of one. So, but we'd be interested to hear them. So I'm going to take, for presentation purposes, back control from Thomas, or actually I'm going to say, Thomas, go home, your mother wants you to come to have lunch or dinner. And so I'm now playing on my own again with the 4 characters under my control, and then when Thomas comes back from dinner, he'll be able to pick up wherever I left things. So I'm going to progress in town. So Original Sin, the Enhanced Edition, is obviously also a very deep RPG with plenty of quests, exploration, puzzles, crafting and so forth, things to do. And I would like to add that there's a couple of things I have to say. The Enhanced Edition has full voice recordings for all the dialogues. That's over 80,000 lines that have been recorded, and by pretty good actors, we think. So that adds a lot to the dialogue. A lot of the dialogue has been rewritten also because sometimes things were a little bit obtuse. It was one of the weaknesses of Original Sin. We also added a lot of extra content, extra quests. We changed the entire ending to be much more interesting, we think. We also added a whole bunch of new secrets, so there's quite a lot to be discovered. Okay, at this point I'm going to demonstrate Pet Pal. So remember Thomas, who was talking to the rat, and the rat didn't answer him. Well, if you have the Pet Pal talent like Scarlet does here, then you can actually talk to animals. And if we go in here, you see that there's that guy, he's running after the rooster, and when I get closer, the rooster says, please help me, this maniac will turn me into a meat pie. And what I can say is, you know what, it's a chicken's destiny to be eaten. And so he doesn't really like that, but unfortunately for the chicken, that's the way it's going to be. And I'm going to get the heartless stack, because that was not a very nice thing to do of me. Now you'll notice that all these objects, they highlight, and this means that I can interact with them, but you also notice that a lot of them are red. That means that if I'm going to pick something up, it's going to be stealing. For instance, if I take this broom here, that man notices it, he gets very angry. He's very hypersensible, I have to say, to theft, because he calls the guards right away, and as the guards pop in, they're going to pose me some questions. Now I'm going to allow myself to be thrown in jail because I want to demonstrate at least one way of getting out of jail. So they took all of my clothes, my inventory is empty, so I don't have anything, but what they didn't take was my dignity, or indeed my powers. So I'm going to try to jailbreak, but first let's see what the rat has to say. And it tells me that it thinks that that skeleton is alive. So let me get closer to the skeleton and see. Oh, that wasn't the skeleton. What do I see? A prison demon. So the prison demon, he is going to make me a deal, and he's going to offer me a very, very bad deal actually. The deal is that he wants one of my primary stat points in return for my freedom. Now, I don't think anybody should pick this choice, at least not if you have the chance. But then again, my current problem is, of course, if I think about it, which I'll do by lying on my bed here, is that I'm in jail and the rest of my party is facing a robot, and they're not doing very well against that robot. So maybe I should have see what my options are. Now, to check out my options, I've got this virtual mode, which allows me to scan the battlefield. And so I see here a legionnaire and another legionnaire. So these seem to be the only two guys, at least the only two guys that I can see. So I need to figure out a plan. Using my master skills, which I have given myself by cheating, I will come up with a very, very cunning plan, which also has some poetic justice in it. So I'm going to summon a poison slug over here. That's a new master skill. Alright. And then I'm going to do an over-the-top master skill, which I can do over walls, which is Meteor Shower. So I'm going to do that on this guy. Alright, so he's not very happy about it, and so the other guy wants to fight me now. Of course, we are on the other side of the bar, so it's my slug's turn, but it can't do a lot, so I'll just tell it to skip its turn. She, on the other hand, has a master skill which is neither swap. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to swap positions. So the jailer is going to become the jailed. So there you go. Alright. So now he has to deal with my slug, and I can basically just admire the fight from a distance and walk away. So the slug is going to hit poor legionnaire, and it looks like it's going to go well. The legionnaire gets it and drops the fire arrow, and the slug is just there. I can make it rain here now on the inside, I know that it doesn't make a lot of sense to make it rain inside, but this is magical rain, and magical rain works always. That's why it's magical. It wasn't necessary because the fire doused away itself, so all I did now is I made myself wet and I don't have any clothes on. However, if I scan the environment here, I find a prison treasure key, and very handy, the door to the prison treasure is just next to the guy. I could have pickpocketed from him had I wanted to. I could have, of course, done I did cold-blooded murder, so that's an option that we already explored. And I just looted the prison chest thing. All right, so I'm gonna exit now, and I'm going to try to find my clothes back. And my clothes are going to be in the evidence room. Unfortunately, there is a man over here, and so he might see me naked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to become a barrel. I'm going to just tiptoe my way past the guy, and I will pick up the evidence chest. From the evidence, I'm going to quickly put on a dress, and as I put on my dress, I'm ready to go and face the mage who lives upstairs. So we find him somewhere. Ah, there he is. Hello, Mr. Mage. This is Arhu the Mage. He's a battle mage who can turn himself into a cat. And what I'm going to ask him is like, can you tell me about your failed experiments? Because the other guys mentioned that this was a failed experiment, that robot. And he says that's the Sparkmaster 5000. It became self-aware. It's very annoying when that happens. But I have a remote access device, basically a remote control. And so he gives it to me, and he suggests that I pick up the manual for the remote access device. The manual, which is somewhere over here, I think. So if I scan the area, that's it. I can pick it up, and if I now go and read it, which I will do, I learn that there's many combinations with the thing. For instance, there's angry, happy, angry. And if I do angry, happy, angry, what does it mean? Well, you have this little remote control device, and so if I do angry, happy, angry here, then the robot, if I'm close enough, will control. This is also like, it's one of those small things that we did in the Enhanced Edition. There's literally, there's truckloads of them. And in the original game, this was just a text dialogue, so now you get a little thing like that. It's just, I like it as a small detail. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have Thomas join back in. All right, and so I'm going to shift control of all of my characters to Thomas, except for Scarlet. So he can continue that combat, and I want to show this because it's like typically a scene that you would get in the game. So I'm going to walk my way to the cavern where Thomas is, and Thomas in the meantime is going to try to do something intelligent and try to defeat the monster, but he's probably going to need my help to manage to do so. All right, so I'm going to move in the direction of a waypoint, and when I can use a waypoint, I should get out. So Thomas, I don't know, well, it's the turn of the other guy. Oops, I'm going in the wrong direction here. Because I have to speak for Thomas, because there's no microphone for Thomas. I have to look with my left eye to my character on the left, and with my right eye to the character on the right, which makes it very interesting, but I'll manage. So he is now going to try... Did you use your remote control already? Thomas, he didn't use his remote control yet. So that is Can I speak? My moment of quietness was caused by the fact that there was a friendly presenter who was sending a message in German that nobody understood to everybody at Gamescom, and so I was distracted. Oh, I forgot to give you the remote control. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't send it to you. It's true. I kept it for myself. So I'm going to, who is this? Beardaughter, Wolgraf. I'm sending it to Wolgraf, and I'm sending the manual so that you can also read the manual and find out. I'm almost there, by the way, so I'm getting closer and closer. So Thomas is going to try to vent steam, I think, because that's what we rehearsed in our presentation. And the venting steam is a very clever idea. That's why we use it. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a big cloud which will appear around the robot. Thomas is trying. Why are you doing that? Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, it's going to be in the next turn that it's going to vent steam. So he gave the order to vent steam, but the robot is not listening, but it's probably going to do it in the next turn. So in the meantime, Thomas is trying to be clever. It's not going very well, which is why Scarlet is heading towards him to help him out. So Scarlet has arrived in the cave. She's going to turn herself into a rock. And so since she's not in combat yet, I'm just going to wait for Thomas to do his thing, if he's not dead yet. What are you going to do? You're going to... Why do you do that? Why don't you throw a grenade? Oh, never mind. And this is the hard part of trying to do the presentation like this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is to end... Not that, Jesus Christ. So this is why it's misery to... Alright, so what shall I do? We shall never see what that remote control does. However, we shall see that a mighty hail attack can do miracles when in the times of need. Now, you're probably not going to have that skill at this point in the game, but I have, because I have cheats, and that is going to allow me to... I think that did the trick. Alright, so I saved today. I didn't. Oh, there's still somebody alive, actually. Oh, really? Okay, well, let's kill him too, so that we have a nice ending to this particular presentation of Original Sin, the Enhanced Edition, coming to you, hopefully by the end of this year. We're afraid of saying a date because we're always late with whatever we say, so... but technically speaking, we hope to be ready by the end of October. And there you have it. That was a presentation of Original Sin, the Enhanced Edition, and Visco is very happy that we saved today. So that will be it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.